He taught our people to defy their leaders.
To defend themselves.
With poison. A gift you gave to our enemy.
I had to stop you from throwing away our people's lives.
You have no honor.
And you are a slave to it.
When I sat down to write my usual retrospective review for this game, I was genuinely nervous. I didn't know if I could do it justice. Firstly, because of the profound impact it's had on me, especially since playing it while visiting Tsushima Island added so much more to the experience. Secondly, because I don't feel like I even have the writing skills or vocabulary to capture what makes this game so special to me. And thirdly, it's so very obviously worth your time considering it's only 5 years old at this point. Like, this video is over a year in the making and could easily be a 6-hour video of me just gushing about the game, but I've tried to cut out as much fluff as I can. And with Ghost of Yotei just around the corner, I figured it's time to try and finish this damn video.
I ask that you join me.
So this isn't any sort of review, this is my love letter to Ghost of Tsushima, my favorite game of all time. And what better way to start than? Games and movies often have a certain level of spectacle that's intended to wow its audience. And this Japanese-inspired action-adventure game has its fair share, though on a much smaller, tighter scale. And don't get me wrong, Ghost's own set-piece moments are spectacular too, but its real magic lies in how grounded and meaningful the smaller, grittier moments feel. The action sequences are absolutely amazing, and there's a really cinematic feel, undeniably inspired by classic Japanese films. And yet there's also something about this game that's still uniquely its own, especially in its seamless transitions between cutscenes and gameplay that really helps to keep you immersed in the world. And that commitment to immersion is obvious throughout. For example, instead of map markers or arrows pointing the player in the right direction, the game uses the wind, a guiding wind that moves in the direction of your desired destination. And though I know it might not feel that special to others, I just think it's really neat.
I just think they're neat.
Like, it's obviously subtle by intention and not handholdy, because it wants you to feel like you're in the world, and I think it does a great job. The game also utilizes foxes to guide the player to shrines, which results in more active charms, each with different perks. Or these golden songbirds that help the player find collectible weapons, cosmetics, or points of interest. Another example is when you encounter roaming enemies or camps. Gameplay-wise, you're given a couple different approaches, one of which is to walk right up and challenge them to a standoff. Each and every time, it's this tense and absolutely gripping experience. The classic cinematic black bars form up, the music builds, and you're given a split second to react. And when you succeed, you feel like the epitome of the baddest man in all the land. But that's not all, because we can't forget about the duels, which is probably my favorite part of the game. As each one begins, there's a calm, purposeful presentation, a style that pays deliberate homage to an older era of filmmaking, inspired by old samurai and western films alike. And that style, though obviously inspired, still manages to be uniquely its own. As a game, you're drawn into a much closer, more immersive angle, and you feel every single impact. The music and weather is ever present, and the tension is palpable, but your focus is fixed on your enemy. Visceral blade strokes cause sparks to fly, and each perfect parry slows time to great cinematic effect. A second of reprieve from the grueling and immediate threat, and then the blood-red finish. The game just consistently creates excellent moments throughout. Mind you, the combat can be very challenging, and I'm not very good, but that's okay because it's so damn addictive. The moment-to-moment gameplay is just exceptional. Another cool thing that I feel may have gone unnoticed is how expertly done the performance capture and fight choreography is. Even though it's often the focus during gameplay, it's really not something I see mentioned. The movement and actions of each character feels fluid yet tangibly purposeful. Each of Jin's stances feels suitably unique to its own style, which you can switch on the fly depending on the enemy you're facing. something that Sucker Punch has obviously put a lot of thought into. And that's not even mentioning the acting, especially with how well it translates into the facial animations. All of which really enhances the storytelling and helps to keep you grounded and invested in the stakes of Jin's journey. It all feels like something out of a big budget movie.
The Straw Hats are hurt, starving. I can't ask them to risk their lives for one man.
But of course, there are other things that the game does right, ones that aren't so obvious, like... I think one of the things that made the biggest difference for me, ironically, were the smallest. The quality of life mechanics built into the game on the micro level. We all know open world games can be annoying and tedious, but something that removed a lot of that friction for me are the little things. Like being able to loot from horseback. It's obviously not the first game to do this, and it's not particularly special, but it's so nice to have. Or how when you call your horse, something you unlock pretty early on mind you, it always appears right nearby, ready to ride. Or like how the NPCs match your walk or run speed during quests, whether you're mounted or on foot. Something that's a genuine gripe in a lot of games. Or the way the camera tracks back and forth as you climb higher or descend, it's just well thought out. Or how you can just go back and replay any mission after finishing the main game, including duels. Or like how Jin's character model moves during fights, and the way he can flick off the blood from his blade and resheath his sword. Or when Jin is riding through pampas grass and he bends down to run his hand through it. And fast travel is pretty much available from the start and usable as long as you're not in a fight or mission. Like all these things, they may be small and simple, but I swear it's made all the difference for me. It just feels like the developers have sat down at each stage of development, played the game and said to themselves, wouldn't it be handy if I had this? Or wouldn't it be cool if I had that? And then put in the work to add them in. Look, most people probably won't care, and perhaps it sounds like an exaggeration, but to me, it just feels like Sucker Punch have really spent time testing and reviewing this game and have made the player experience the key focus. And after finishing this game, I am really surprised it didn't win Game of the Year at TGA.
You're lying.
But obviously that's not all, because of course there are... Wait, just a quick break. If you've made it this far, thanks for watching. And if you're enjoying this, consider liking and subscribing, as it really helps me keep making these videos.
You know what happens now.
Anyway, on to... Now, on the macro level, the most obvious big thing has to be the stunning visuals, and it's easy to understand why it's one of the most celebrated aspects of this game. At every turn, across every field, it's hard not to be completely enchanted by the jaw-dropping views you're presented with in this masterpiece. And at the start, I couldn't help but think this isn't real, it's man-made, so it felt disingenuous to be so enamored by it. But then I realized that's exactly what art is. It's artificial yet still astonishingly beautiful, and that shouldn't diminish what's been achieved here. Whether it be the gorgeous landscapes, or the amazing use of colours, or the way the lighting casts its light, the game is just magical. And the art style as well is also just really stunning and distinct. This watercolour map, for example, is just charming to look at. It's simple yet effective and still oozes that artistic flair. And that classic brushstroke look during Mythic Tale intros is another aspect I love. And the way it's presented makes it so interesting and engaging, it's just so hard not to fall in love with.
But with Clan Sakai's aid, Shimura put down the rebellion and executed Lord Yarikawa.
The way quest title sequences are presented as well. There's a deliberate calmness to it, yet it's always leading and intriguing. And that's not even mentioning Kurosawa mode, an option where the game emulates the classic black and white look with altered audio and greater weather intensity. Although you do miss out on all the brilliant colours playing it this way though. Probably the best example of the devs understanding what inspired them and building from that. Simply put, Ghost of Tsushima is probably one of the clearest examples of games as an art form. But of course, no game worth its salt is complete without mentioning the music. There is a genuinely authentic and culturally accurate feel to this game, and the way the soundtrack has been scored is incredible. And that wasn't by accident. Upon doing some research, I found that Ilan Eshkiri and Shigeru Umabayashi not only employed the use of traditional Japanese instruments to really capture the feel and emotion, but actively engaged Japanese musicians and learnt music theory for these instruments. And that's not even mentioning the use of themes and instruments that reflect the Mongolian elements in the game. The feelings that the music brings out of you is powerful and emotive and so artistically faithful. There really is a reason this game has been so widely praised, and the music has been instrumental, pun intended, in elevating this game to its status as a masterpiece. One that I think will last the test of time and something we'll look fondly back on. The story and writing is another aspect that makes this game so special on a macro level. Encapsulating ideas around tradition and honor and culture and the ever-changing world and the need to adapt to it was an excellent choice, and serves to show off how much depth is in the story here. Characters are masterfully crafted, each with a unique distinction that shows real thought was put into each one of them. From the lovable friend,
Lord Sakai.
to the unyielding father figure,
Tomorrow we celebrate victory.
or from the stubborn master,
was my greatest achievement.
to the loyal and tough thief,
But we have to fight back.
or from the proud and headstrong noble,
You know nothing of suffering.
to the mischievous comic relief.
My lord, I'm an idiot.
I mean, one could argue these characters are a bit tropey to a degree, but collectively, their stories and arcs can work as standalone tales or be interwoven into the fabric of the main story. And from a gameplay standpoint, the expansive open world design also benefits from this style of storytelling, allowing the player to pick and choose their own path. Our protagonist Jin's challenge of not only the bloody fight at hand, but the duality of his character and his own internal struggle around honor is also super interesting.
We live by a code of honor. And sometimes we die by it.
A man torn between honor or survival as he tries to navigate the right path to saving his home and dealing with the consequences of his actions along the way. And the dichotomy of these polarizing viewpoints manifests itself into its gameplay perfectly, giving the player the agency to determine his own approach. All the while each act delves deeper and allows the player to explore not only more of the island, but also shows us the changes and development of the characters themselves. And on another level, Jin's return as the ghost even has parallels to the spirit of vengeance like Damocles in Rise Son of Rome, or dare I say Ghost of Yotei? And I mean, don't we all love a good vengeance story?
How long have you been here?
Not long enough.
You need some rest.
What I need is justice for my family's murder.
Now, I've obviously touched on quite a few points so far, but there's also at the end of the day, I'm honestly not entirely sure why this game had such a profound impact on me. I mean, I know why I love it, but I think my love for this game extends beyond the gameplay and artistic elements of it. Don't get me wrong, there's other things too that fall under these categories, like the amount of collectibles or cosmetics, which I do enjoy, but I know some people really love. And of course there's the side quests, which add a good amount of content and context to the world as well. Or the mythic tales, which were definitely a favourite because they not only added in-depth lore, but also unique gameplay mechanics that were super fun to use. And the variety offered in combat was interesting and addictive, especially because there was a good amount of challenge to them as well. And that's not even to mention the DLC and Legends, which introduced even more mechanics and a multiplayer game mode. It's just a really well made and well thought out game overall. But I think what made this game really stand out for me is probably when and where I played it.
I don't understand.
As you might be aware, Ghost was a Sony exclusive for a long time, and it just happened to be arriving on PC whilst I had already been planning a trip to Japan, my first ever visit. It actually came at a time where I was trying to make changes to my own life, a time where I was trying to get out and do more, travel more, see more. Like, I'm sure some of you agree, gaming can be a great place to escape into, but obviously it's not just a silver bullet to all your problems.
You can't just stay here.
And being cooped up inside isn't exactly the healthiest of hobbies. In some ways, it's a great form of therapy, but I was trying to make changes. And luckily, I was fortunate enough to be able to squeeze in an actual visit to Tsushima Island itself and literally play the game whilst I was there. And on this trip, as I felt absolutely in love with the culture and history of Japan, it only amplified the love I had for this game. I can only describe the arrival of this game as serendipitous. I can't help but think there's a real wisdom in letting things happen in their own time. Anyway, enough of my rambling thoughts on the profound. I need to close this out. So there's only one thing left.
There is only one way this ends.
I'm obviously biased, and this video isn't a review. It's just something I made in appreciation of a game that means a lot to me. People might pick it apart or say it isn't perfect, but it was perfect for me, especially considering when I played it, and for that I will forever be grateful.
I hope we can meet again.
Thank you for watching.
Have you heard, my lord? Mongols, searching for something powerful.
If you've managed to sit through this whole video, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to let me know what else you'd like to see in the comments. Hopefully, I'll catch you in the next one.